Hey everyone, welcome back. It's nice to see you all today. Today I'm going to show you how to make a baked Italian meatball. So for our meatballs, we're going to need a few different pieces of equipment. We're going to need a baking sheet or a cookie sheet, whichever you have, and you can prep that by putting a piece of aluminum foil on it. You need a mixing bowl. As you can see, I already have some ground beef in here. You need a grater and something to go over that. You need a little fork and a bowl for your egg, and then measuring cups and spoons. Okay, so the ingredients for these baked meatballs are half of an onion that's been grated, and I'm going to show you that in just a moment. You need one egg that is just slightly been beaten. So we just kind of take our fork and break it up a bit in the bowl. We need 1/2 of a teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce, which is already in here with 1 pound of ground beef. We need about 1/4 of a cup of grated Parmesan cheese. I don't have Parmesan cheese, so I'm going to use the grated Asiago that I have. We need about 1/2 tablespoon of Italian seasoning and about 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, and 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, which I have already pre-measured into this little prep cup. Okay. The first step is going to be to grate the onion. And if you don't have a grater like I have, you can just use a knife and cut the onion up into really, really small bits. But I have a grater, so that's what I'm going to use. So when your onion is finished being grated, it should look like this, a really smooth minced up paste. And that will just help incorporate it into the beef mixture really, really well. Okay, so we're gonna add that into the bowl along with the ground beef. I've also added in the Worcestershire sauce, which I know I mentioned earlier, but that's just with that kind of wet substances on top of the beef. Start wondering. Put that on top of there. Okay, now we're just gonna add in the rest of the ingredients. So we have our spices. We're just gonna, on there. We have our breadcrumbs. Okay, we have the egg that we broke up a bit with a fork. Just kind of, that now can go right on top of there. And we've got the cheese that we're going to add in as well. Okay, the next step is going to be to gently incorporate these ingredients together. We don't want to overwork the beef or it's going to have kind of a strange, compacted, corky texture. So we're going to be really careful mixing these together, and then we're going to shape them into, of course, meatballs, because that's what they are, and place them on this prepared baking sheet that we have. Okay, but before we start putting them on the baking sheet, I'm going to put some olive oil on it to keep the meatballs from sticking as they bake, because we will be baking them in a 400-degree oven, and we don't want them to be difficult to remove. Okay, but first we're going to kind of break this up. If you don't have ground beef at home, you could try this with a ground chicken or a ground turkey if you have that. This is a great recipe. You could make it a day in advance. Have the meatballs on a dish or a tray in the refrigerator and pull them out when you're right about to make your supper or your dinner or whatever your meal you're preparing for. Just a reminder, don't go marching into the kitchen without your parents' permission. I'm sure you're always asking them. Okay, so this looks pretty good. This is about what it should look like when you're ready to start shaping into meatballs. Okay, so I'm just gonna wash my hands off and I'm gonna coat the pan with a little bit of olive oil. And I'm also gonna coat my hands with some olive oil, and that's gonna help make it easier to roll these into balls. Okay, so I got this olive oil. I'm just gonna pour it on there. My hands to just also makes cleanup so much easier. Just like how I like to line my baking dishes with parchment. Same thing here. So now I have, it's like finger painting with oil. Okay. All right. Now we're ready to start shaping into meatballs. Don't want to pack the balls really, really tightly because that will again make them have a really strange texture and we don't want that. So just gently shape them together. This is a small recipe, so if you have a bigger family, if you're cooking for more than just 3 people, you might want to double it. All right, so my meatballs are ready to go into the oven. My oven is preheated to 400 degrees and I'm going to set the timer for about 20 minutes. It could take anywhere between 20 to 30 minutes for these to bake fully. And I'll know that they're done cooking when the internal temperature registers 160 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so I'm gonna put these right into the oven. All right, so the meatballs are in the oven for about 20 minutes. And at that point, I used my pot holders to take them out and put them on this cooling rack, as you can see. I'm now going to use my thermometer to take the internal temperature to make sure that they are at least 160 degrees Fahrenheit on the inside. Okay, so let's put it in there. All right. Oh yeah, we are at 100 and, what does that say? 66? 166? Okay, so these meatballs are officially done and ready to add to a pasta dish or whatever you would like to serve them with. They'd go great with some marinara sauce and some extra cheese. Just some reminders, if you're going to be making these meatballs, do have pot holders handy, do have a cooling rack ready, do ask permission, and certainly check the internal temperature of the meatballs to make sure that they're done. There are many foodborne illnesses you can get from consuming undercooked meats. All right, that's all I've got for you today.